A network that refused to die. It should have collapsed. By every traditional measure, it should have failed 1,000 times. Attacks, skepticism, market crashes, internal debates. Enough pressure break any emerging technology. And yet, this network endured. It adapted. It evolved. It survived storms that would have erased most inventions before they had a chance to find purpose. Today, its resilience is legendary. But to understand why and how it became the backbone of a digital revolution, we need to revisit the moments when everything seemed lost. Because the truth is simple. This network didn't rise because it was flawless. It rose because it refused to die. The early years were riddled with fragility. A handful of volunteers kept the system alive, patching vulnerabilities and debating improvements through late-night messages and scattered forums. At times, the network processed so few transactions that critics declared it irrelevant. But every time someone predicted its end, another developer joined, another miner came online, another believer stepped forward. The chain grew stronger one block at a time. The reveal began when the first major attack struck. A flaw in the protocol, subtle and unexpected, threatened the integrity of the entire system. Panic rippled through the community as users watched the network stall. But instead of collapsing, something remarkable happened. Developers coordinated across continents, racing against time to deploy a fix. Miners upgraded their software. Nodes synchronized, and within hours, the network breathed again. That moment changed everything. It proved that the system's greatest strength wasn't its code, it was its people. A decentralized collective had responded faster and more effectively than many centralized systems ever could. It shattered the perception that decentralized networks were fragile by nature, but this was only the beginning. As adoption grew, so did the challenges. Traffic surged, pushing the network to its limits. Market cycles introduced waves of new users who overwhelmed capacity. Critics pointed to the congestion as evidence of impending failure. Yet each struggle fueled innovation. Layered solutions emerged. New protocols were tested. The network bent repeatedly, but never broke. Still, the question lingered. How long could a system this experimental withstand the pressures of global demand? And what would happen when the next crisis arrived? The next crisis didn't wait long. As the network grew more visible, attackers grew more determined. Waves of coordinated assaults attempted to overwhelm it, disrupt it, or exploit it. Each attack carried the same intention: to prove that a decentralized system could not endure focused hostility. And for brief moments, it looked like they might be right. Blocks slowed, nodes desynced, markets panicked. The world watched for signs of collapse. But every time the pressure mounted, the response was the same. The community mobilized. Developers dissected the attacks in real time, patching weaknesses with astonishing speed. Miners reinforced the chain by upgrading hardware and tightening coordination. Users relayed updates across forums, social channels, and chat rooms, creating an impromptu early warning system. The network didn't just offend itself. It learned from every threat, emerging stronger than before. Yet survival came at a cost. As new users flooded the ecosystem, scalability concerns transformed from a technical curiosity into a full-blown dilemma. Transactions grew sluggish. Fees climbed. Critics compared the network to outdated infrastructure struggling under modern traffic. Supporters argued that this friction was proof of unprecedented growth. But neither side could deny that something had to change. Behind closed doors and across open forums, debates erupted. Some proposed radical upgrades to boost capacity. Others urged caution, warning that quick fixes could undermine security. These discussions didn't just expose disagreements. They revealed rifts in philosophy. Was the network meant to be a global settlement layer, slow and secure? Or a fast, everyday payment platform open to all? As these questions intensified, innovators stepped forward with alternative solutions. Layered technologies promised relief without compromising the chain's foundations. Side networks offered speed while preserving decentralization. The possibilities multiplied. But each proposal carried uncertainty, and uncertainty fueled anxiety. All the while, the world continued using the network, pushing it harder, expecting more. Exchanges grew. Merchants experimented with digital payments. Nations debated whether to embrace or resist the shift. The network, once obscure, had become a cornerstone of a broader movement, one that demanded resilience far beyond what early developers imagined. Still, danger loomed. With rising adoption came rising expectations, and with those expectations came a new kind of pressure. The network had proven it could survive attacks and bugs. But could it withstand the internal strain of conflicting visions, technical constraints, and the relentless weight of global attention? A storm was forming, not from outside adversaries, but from within. And the next chapter would force the community to confront a challenge unlike any it had faced before. The storm arrived slowly, disguised as a technical debate. What began as a discussion about block sizes soon evolved into a battle over identity, purpose, and the very soul of the network. Developers, miners, businesses, and everyday users took sides, each believing they were protecting the network's true future. But with every argument, every proposal, every rejected compromise, the tension thickened. At the heart of the conflict lay a simple question. Should the network expand to handle more transactions directly, or should it remain compact and secure while relying on layered solutions for scale? One path promised speed and accessibility. The other promised stability and resilience. Both carried truth. Both carried risk. And neither side was willing to yield. The debates grew emotional. Messages flooded forums. Live streams dissected every technical nuance. Old friendships dissolved into bitter disagreements. The community that once rallied together against external threats now found itself fractured from within. Each faction claimed to defend decentralization. Each believed the other was endangering it. For many users, the conflict felt surreal. A network once defined by unity and purpose was becoming a battlefield of competing philosophies. Behind the digital arguments were human fears. Fear of losing control, fear of stagnation, fear of letting the network drift toward centralization or inefficiency. The deeper the discussion went, the more it became clear that this wasn't a technical problem at all. It was a confrontation with the consequences of success. As positions hardened, miners entered the fray. Their influence became a focal point of tension. Some aligned with one vision, others with another, and their choices carried real weight. The community questioned whether miners should shape the network's evolution or simply secure it. The divide grew sharper with each passing block. Meanwhile, businesses built around the network added yet another layer of complexity. They depended on speed and affordability, pushing for changes that would support growth. Developers countered that protecting the network's integrity mattered more than short-term convenience. Both sides knew that a misstep could damage trust, the most fragile and essential element of a decentralized system. The emotional buildup reached new heights as threats of chain splits began circulating. The possibility of two competing networks emerging from one codebase felt like a nightmare scenario. Proof that the very resilience the network had shown in past crises was being tested in a different way. This time, the danger wasn't from an attack. It was from division. Users around the world watched in uncertainty. Would their coins remain valid? Would their wallets work? Would exchanges support one version or both? Every unanswered question added pressure. Every rumor added fear. A movement built on cooperation now teetered on the edge of fragmentation. As the conflict approached its peak, one truth became painfully clear. The network had withstood every external force imaginable, but surviving an internal fracture required something far more difficult. Collective humility, shared purpose, and the willingness to choose evolution over ego. The moment of decision was approaching, and its impact would ripple far beyond code, shaping the network's identity for years to come. The breaking point arrived when the community finally accepted that no amount of debate could delay the inevitable. A choice had to be made. The network stood at a crossroads, pulled between competing visions that each claimed to honor its original purpose. The world watched as developers, miners, and users prepared for a moment that would define the chain's future. The climax came not through chaos, but through clarity. A consensus formed, imperfect, hard won, and shaped by sacrifice. The network embraced a path that protected its core principles while allowing room for innovation to flourish elsewhere. Some celebrated, others mourned, but the decision carried a powerful message. The network's strength was not in pleasing everyone, but in choosing survival with integrity. When the upgrade arrived, the world braced for disruption. Instead, the network held steady. Blocks continued to form. Transactions confirmed. The chain that many predicted would splinter endured with surprising grace. It had faced its most difficult internal conflict and emerged more confident in its identity. And in the aftermath, something profound became clear. This network had not survived because it was perfect. It survived because millions of people believed in the idea that value could move through the world without borders, without permission, without a single point of failure. Every challenge, every disagreement, every setback had forced the system to evolve, not into what any one group wanted, but into what the world needed. The resilience was no accident. It was earned through trial, conflict, collaboration, and conviction. A global community had proven that decentralized systems could withstand pressure that would shatter traditional models. They had shown that disagreement could lead to strength and that vision could outlast volatility. Today, the network stands as a testament to persistence, a reminder that revolutions aren't won in moments of triumph, but in moments of doubt, when survival itself becomes a victory. And as new technologies rise, as new challenges await, the lesson remains unchanged. A decentralized future doesn't survive by chance. It survives because people choose to keep it alive. Subscribe to join the journey.